Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the review show. We're keeping it real. Goes right. Welcome back to this review of AEW Dynamite, December 27th, 2023, the final Dynamite of the year. And it honestly was one of the best that I've seen. If you're just joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel. I cover news, I cover wrestling, I cover a lot of stuff going on in the professional wrestling space. We got live streams, we got video essays, podcasts, so much more. If you're just joining us for the first time, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. For all the other homies, all the other live homies who are joining us as usual, be sure to leave your questions, comments, whatever in the chat. You want to guarantee your question is answered on the air. Y'all know what to do. Be sure to leave a super chat. AEW Dynamite, December 27th, 2023. One hell of a show. That's for damn sure. Honestly, as I said before, I thought that this was one of the best Dynamites of the year. This felt like exactly what this show needed to be and a little bit more as well. It set up what I think is going to be a really fun pay-per-view in AEW World's End. It also set up, as I have some fuzz in my beard, that's the perks of growing a massive beard as I am. But this show did a great job of building up what I think is going to be a very fun pay-per-view. We have the finals of the Continental Classic set, Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston, a matchup that really nobody saw coming. Everyone, I feel like, assumed it was going to be either Swerve or Jay White from the Gold League, or Bryan just winning outright in the Blue League. However, it kind of reversed. Kingston won, then Moxley won. We'll talk about that and all those results. MJF and the Devil storyline progressed as it was revealed that Samoa Joe was not the Devil, but he certainly looked to be in cahoots with the Devil. So much to talk about there. We also had fun matches all around. FTR being named ESPN's Tag Team of the Year. It's very hard to argue against that. So much more to talk about on this show as AEW World's End, Long Island, New York, live this Sunday, and in the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. That's what it is. I didn't have any coffee today. I literally woke up from a nap right before AEW Dynamite started. Little groggy, but we're going through it, guys. Hope you're having a wonderful night. Let's get right into it and talk about the Gold League. I'm getting my colors mixed up here. I'm actually wearing blue and gold. It's okay. Eric Douglas in the chat talking about the Devil, and I think the Devil will be Taz himself. I highly doubt that Taz will be the Devil, but I'll say this much. It would be hecking hilarious if it was, in fact, the human suplex machine Taz. Anyway, Gold League final. We had, was it Gold League or Blue League? Did I get that mixed up again? Probably. Let me confer with Wikipedia real quick just to make sure, because odds are I probably am getting that mixed up, which gives you all time to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Okay, I was right. Gold League final. Moxley, Swerve, Jay White kicked off Dynamite in an epic way. These three went out there and had an absolutely stupendous match, a la WrestleMania 38. We saw just fast-paced action all around. It really felt like the crowd, there's some 5,000 in attendance here in Orlando, Florida, really were behind Swerve. And going into it, I felt like this was Swerve's moment. You would think that, giving him a Continental Classic victory here would go a long way towards propelling him even more into that AEW World Championship picture. But it doesn't seem like that's the way they're going about it. It looks like, to me, they're probably going to give him the belt, because I think Swerve is going to be a champion here in AEW pretty soon. It's just a matter of time. I think in 2024, he will win the belt. That is just, if he doesn't, it would take a catastrophic series of events to occur for Swerve Strickland not to walk not to walk around as the AEW World Champion in 2024. I just don't believe that he's going to be relegated to even the mid card at this point. He is a main eventer, a bona fide main eventer. But crowd was strictly behind Swerve all night. You heard the Who's House. He got the biggest pop, even bigger than Moxley when he came out. So it really felt like no matter what's happening here, Swerve was walking away with the victory. A few times it did look like that. The 450 splash Swerve hit on Jay White I thought was absolutely beautiful. We saw him do his friggin' jump kick, which I love. It's one of the funnest moves. It's one of the best looking moves, I should say, in professional wrestling. Because it's almost like when Swerve goes to do that kick, he jumps up in the air and he just stands there. And he's just like still. And you're just mesmerized. Like, oh, he's about to do it. Stands there, bam, delivers it with maximum impact. So, love seeing that. Of course, the finishing, there were a lot of false finishes here. Swerve got hit with the Death Rider. Moxley got hit with the best of Swerve's offense. Jay White got a few of his finishers in there. Now, at the same time, though, and I know people online are very angry about this, given what happened later on in the night, I totally understand. I totally understand, given what happened later on in the night, why they chose to have Moxley win this. The finishing sequence of the match saw Jon Moxley deliver a Death Rider to Jay White after a 20-minute, absolutely grueling match. And both men in the ring, while Swerve is on the outside trying to find his way back into the ring to break up the count, and he couldn't just do it in time. Your winner, moving on to the final of the Continental Classic, was Jon Moxley. Great match to open Dynamite. This match personified exactly what the Continental Classic is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the best wrestlers on TV going out there and having the best matches you will ever see on TV. That's what this tournament's been about. That is part of what has really rejuvenated people's interest in AEW, because even though people want to say, oh, the ratings don't vibe that out, the fact of the matter is that the Continental Classic has delivered for the fans who have been there with AEW since the beginning. For a while there, it seemed like AEW was kind of catering to a more broad audience, which is fine and good, and you should do that as a business. At the same time, you also at times need to kind of spoon feed and put your palm out with some breadcrumbs for the birds that have always been there for you. And that's what a lot of us are. So I think that's what this tournament is about. I think that's why Eddie Kingston won later on in the night. We'll just go ahead and get into that in just a second. Date Mike in the chat says Taz. We got Chase in the chat saying the human duplex machine. That's wild. You can't. Don't do that. Also, did anyone else see that Taz sign in the crowd? I thought it was really funny. Like I don't understand. Taz is someone who basically pops for every little thing out there. It's wild to me that man didn't pop for that Taz sign. Let me see if I can find it here. This is a great time, by the way, to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Hey, Excalibur, who's that guy? That's so funny. I can't find it, but it was a really good sign. Anyway, let's continue talking about the Continental Classic. Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson, they played an epic video package earlier in the night leading up to this match that chronicled the story of these two. Of course, that being that Bryan has always beaten Kingston. His name, I'll have you know, Chase, his name is Bryan Danielson. I'll have you know. But the story of this match is not only that Eddie Kingston is fighting for his Triple Crown, his ROH and New Japan Openweight Championship, but also that Eddie Kingston, the bum, as Bryan Danielson calls him, Eddie Kingston wants to, in the first time in his career, get a victory over the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. Something that he has never done before, something that Bryan claimed that he could never do, something that tonight Eddie Kingston damn well did. These two went out there, beat the ever-living piss out of each other in a match that I'm going to have a lot of fun watching back one day. Hell, I might go back and watch it later on tonight. That's how great it was. And while I think everyone agrees, right, the common sense and common wisdom would tell you, or conventional wisdom, I should say, would tell you that it should be it should be Bryan Danielson versus Swerve, or Bryan Danielson versus Jay White in the final. That's what conventional wisdom would tell you, right? Because those are the younger guys, and Bryan Danielson is the more established person that people want to see win. And I'll say this, Bryan Danielson is my favorite wrestler of all time. In my opinion, he is the greatest professional wrestler to ever grace a wrestling ring, to ever lace up a pair of boots, to ever put on a pair of knee pads, to ever wear tights. It's him. At the same time, though, as a fan of professional wrestling, I can acknowledge what this moment was. And what this moment was Eddie Kingston showing up, showing out, and showing the fans exactly why we love him so much. Because when the chips are down, no matter what, the ultimate underdog, Eddie Kingston, is always there to ruin conventional wisdom. And that's what he did here tonight. And we can say that, like, we're not fans of this. You can say that you're not happy about this, and that's fine, because not everything on TV is going to be for you. Not everything is going to make people happy. That's just the nature of entertainment. That's the nature of sport. That's the nature of the world, to be honest. However, I think AEW made the exact right choice by having Eddie Kingston win this thing. Because not only do you go into the final with the champion, the person who put his belt on the line in Eddie Kingston, not only do you have him in the final and defending his belts, but you also have this story between Moxley and Kingston that's been basically going on throughout their entire time in AEW together, going back to Full Gear 2020. And it's come full circle now. Eddie Kingston is a very different wrestler than he was then. Jon Moxley is a very different wrestler than he was then. Moxley, remember, was the AEW World Champion back then. And right now, I just think that remember what I said earlier, this tournament isn't necessarily for building for the future right now. Like, did they do that? Yes. Did they tell some stories? Yes. I think the crux of this tournament has always been to have great matches and reward the fans that have been there from the beginning and maybe bring some of those fans back. And that's really what I think this is about. And if that's the theme of this and that's the purpose of this, there is no better person to go out there and hitch your wagon to than Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. There are no better people to do that. I think that this was the perfect result for this tournament. And no matter who wins, whether it's Kingston, whether it's Moxley, I would hope it's Eddie Kingston, just because it would be a very nice story to see how far he's come from Full Gear 2020 to now. But, man, this was awesome. And look, again, might not agree with the result, might think it's what, like, you might not, it's okay. I think sometimes we as wrestling fans like to overanalyze things a little bit. And like, I overanalyze professional wrestling all the time. I literally do it on this channel all the time. And I'm probably the worst person to be telling you all that. But it's the truth. Sometimes, man, you just got to sit back, watch, and enjoy the ride. And this is one of those things where I think we can all just kind of like, all right, sit back, watch, enjoy the ride. Because when that ref's hand went down for 3 and it hit the mat and Eddie Kingston won, there was nobody sitting down in that arena. Everyone was up. It was great. And I just thought that it was the right decision. That's my opinion. People are going to disagree. It's okay. This is wrestling. We're allowed to disagree. We got Chase in the chat saying, the finish of Eddie versus Bryan was a WWE caliber main event ending with only the best and powerful moves, in my opinion. Yep, Eddie Kingston with the power bomb to win. And look, Eddie has a chance to finish his story. And I know, like, people, oh my God, finish the story, Cody Rhodes. It's fine, guys. It's okay. Wrestling. Eddie does have a chance to finish his story, though, because not only will he have a chance this Saturday, to defeat Jon Moxley, but he'll have a chance to become the first ever North American Triple Crown, the new North American Triple Crown champion. And also, he will have a chance to fulfill a dream of his, which is to be like one of his heroes. Jon Moxley mentioned this in a promo that he cut on Eddie Kingston after Eddie won. He'll have a chance to be like one of his heroes in All Japan, who went out there, won one of these big tournaments, and came out as the best. Because that's what this is about for Eddie Kingston. Going out there, giving it every bit that he has, leaving it in the ring, and proving everyone wrong. That he's not a bum. That he's not, he's not this like bloated guy who's out there and can't move. But that he is right up there with the best. And that's what he is. That's what this is about. I'm hyped for Saturday. If you're going to be in Long Island this Saturday, y'all know what to do. Hit me up on Twitter or X, whatever that thing is. Let me know. We can meet up. It'll be fun. I will be at AEW World's End this Saturday. It's going to be a fun one, everyone. I can't wait. We got Chris in the chat saying, Sky Blue officially the first wrestler to pin Chris Statlander in an AEW ring since Ruby Soho did in 2022. That was 19 months ago. We got Mike in the chat saying, didn't know that. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, let's talk about that, actually. We can talk about Stat and Sky Blue. Sure. Chris Statlander, Sky Blue, had a singles match, and interesting thing here was we got a glimpse, I should say, at the commentary desk of good old Stokely Hathaway. Good old Stokely Hathaway, who recently has been, trying to build a wedge between Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, both of whom are great friends right now. And we're seeing a bit of a turn in Chris's personality, which is interesting because she's been a face and a good person for all this time. But I think that could change a little bit as we see that personality change in her. The Stokely thing is very interesting to me because you could hear in his voice, like, man, he was just like, I don't think she should trust Chris Statlander. Like, he's trying to get Willow to turn heel on Chris, but I think like the end game might be that Chris turns on Willow and Stokely becomes like Chris's manager, which would be really interesting because I love Stokely Hathaway. I think Stokely as a manager is great. I'm really upset that the firm didn't work out as well as it probably should have, because I thought that Stokely really did a great job at making those guys shine. Think about what all those guys are doing now. Like, outside of Big Bill, who's the world tag team champion, not much. So I think Stokely, he has a chance to do a lot of good stuff here with whomever it is, whether it's Willow, whether it's Chris Statlander. I think we got some good stuff going on in the works. And this is why I'm so excited about AEW moving forward, because it finally feels like things are moving forward for the most part. There are some things that aren't, but we'll talk about those things later on in the show. Anyway, Sky Blue, Chris Statlander, I thought had a really good start to this match, and I thought it was getting to the point where I was like, okay, this is getting to be really good. And then the finishing sequence of the match, Statlander goes up to the top rope. Referee has her back turned, and out of nowhere, Julia Hart hits Statlander with, I believe, the TBS championship. And Statlander, dazed, confused, goes down 1, 2, 3. Sky Blue, just as My good friend in the chat, Chris, says Sky Blue picked up the victory over Chris Statlander, the first person to pin Chris Statlander since 2022, 19 months ago. Interesting finish here. Of course, Stokely just goes crazy, he's just like, look, Chris Statlander doesn't have any friends. And then Willow comes out to obviously defend Chris Statlander. And Stokely just goes, but can't you trust her? Like, I love Stokely Hathaway. He's just amazing. But I like the fact that the story is moving along. I think that big match of Stat versus Willow is a pay-per-view level match. It genuinely is a pay-per-view level match. And it's something that I've wanted to see from AEW for a while now, because it feels like whenever we have like singles matches between the women on AEW shows or big AEW shows, they're for the belt. And that's good and that's great. The belt should be defended. But what I really wanted to see is, how do you progress storylines that don't involve the belt? How do you progress storylines for the sake of, like, you know, these people, these characters? And I think that if there's one feud you can do right now that can help do that and help build people up to be bigger, it's Willow and Statlander. Like, that is a pay-per-view level match you can do. Not for a belt, and just do it. Will they? I don't know. Because I'm not sure how confident they are in that drawing. And I know that that's a big deal for AEW and all that, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Anyway, Statlander versus Sky Blue was fun. It was a good match, I thought. Guys, by the way, y'all are fun too. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Oh man. I'm going to actually put a post up on the community tab. What? Ooh, didn't type that. What? Oh dear. What did you think of hashtag AEW Dynamite tonight? Y'all let me know. Go over to the community tab and let me know what you guys thought of AEW Dynamite tonight. Was it good? Was it bad? Or was it meh? Let me know. So while we wait for some of those results to come in, guys, it's a great time to remind y'all to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You want to make sure, guarantee that your question or statement is read out on the air and answered. Be sure to leave a super chat. We got Chase in the chat saying, it seems that Stat won't go after the AEW women's belt yet for character development. I would agree with that. I think that they should develop her character, especially because there's a lot that's going to happen over the next few months with that women's world championship. I don't think you hot potato between Stat and Julia Hart for the TBS title yet, but that women's world title, like, you got right now, you have Riho. Then, like, you know, like, maybe they're gonna do something with Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa, who's returning. So they're like, there's a bit of a backlog, I think, of talent right now who are going to be challenging and vying for that that world title picture. And the TBS title picture, I think, is even more backlog, because you have Abaddons, you have like other people that I think AEW want to build up. Hell, I think Willow is probably going to be like the next really big challenger for Julia Hart. So there's quite a few things that are going to happen. Chris in the chat says, I knew that Julia Hart was going to get involved in Sky Blue and Chris Statlander's match. I think, yeah, like the alliance between Julia Hart and Sky Blue, or as Nigel McGuinness calls her, Sky Black, I think the alliance is only going to grow over the next few weeks. Hell yeah, Chris making a great point. Jamie Hayter. When Jamie Hayter returns, they hate us because they ain't us. You just wait. You just wait. I'm going to lose my absolute mind when Jamie Hayter returns, because, like, she was, it's hard to find, like, what Jamie Hayter is as far as, like, a talent. Like, she's just so good that she got over, like, that. you can't even pinpoint when it was that like Jamie Hayter got over. Everyone just realized at the same time, oh, she's great. Boom, and she became the world champion. She was having great matches. Like to this day, she had a match earlier this year with Hikaru Shida on TV that I thought was one of the best TV matches of the year. I think it's still in my top 10 matches of the year. Actually, no, it just got edged out. It's at number 11. I have a running list in my notes tab of top matches of the year. But anyway, I think Jamie Hayter is great. When she returns, batten down the hatches. That AEW women's division is going to be great. Harley Cameron appeared alongside Saraya. That was a weird segment. That's all I'm going to say about that. That was a very weird segment. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Big win for Sky Blue going into 2024, absolutely. And I think there's going to be more big wins. Like Sky Blue will hold championship gold by the end of 2024. Guaranteed. She's a champion. I think it'll probably end up being the TBS title, but it could be the world title. You never know. Like, these things happen fast. Things move fast. So, we'll see. So far in the in the voting on today's show, granted, there's only been a handful of votes cast. A lot of people think it's good. We got 75% thinking it's good right now. All right. Moving on, there were other things on this show as well. By the way, we didn't talk about this, but on the pre-show, the unaired pre-show that no one saw on TV, but that people in the crowd saw live, Scotty 2 Hotty made his AEW debut, and he did it to the Too Cool theme song that AEW now has the ability to play. So Scotty 2 Hotty is all elite. He is reportedly a coach now for AEW, which is great. I think having him backstage is going to offer a wealth of knowledge to a lot of the younger talent, not only about, in-ring prowess and how to wrestle, but also how to perform, because that's one thing that Scotty 2 Hotty was. He's a performer. All right. What else happened on this show? Because I know the MJF thing happened. We already talked about Brian and let's talk about Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. We're going a lot out of order here, but it's fine. It's okay. I'm going to just send it and do it live. Let's talk about Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. So throughout the night, we were getting hyped up for this sit-down interview between Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Christian Cage basically showed up 30 minutes into the show and was like, all right, what are we doing? Where's Adam? And it was like Lexi Nair, who is like usually on Collision. She's the the interviewer, the backstage interviewer. But Christian Cage looks at Lexi Nair and is just like, you're not Renee. Because, he's Canadian. He's got to be interviewed by a Canadian. Anyway, so Christian Cage back there waiting with Mother Wayne and the prodigy Nick Wayne. And they're waiting for Adam Copeland. This was like a running thing throughout the night. And eventually, we get the signal, Adam Copeland's here. And Christian Cage is like, finally, get down to business. And Adam Copeland, sneak attack from the front. Greatest thing in professional wrestling. I love it. Sneak attack from the front. Beats the crap out of Nick Wayne. Beats the crap out of Christian Cage. And had to be separated. Multiple times Adam Copeland breaks free and goes after Christian Cage. Christian Cage breaks free, goes after Copeland. These two are really building up this feud to be as big as possible. Of course, this Saturday night, they're going to be going one-on-one. No disqualifications. TNT title on the line. In what I think should be a crowning moment for Adam Copeland. But we'll see. We shall see. But it was a fun little segment. I really wish that they'd gone out in the crowd a little bit more. I thought that would have been fun and a great thing to see. Like those guys going out there and really reveling in the crowd. And because this was a really great crowd. I want to point that out. The crowd tonight in Florida was absolutely epic. Like, it was a larger crowd than AEW's been drawing. Like, this was like, I think 5,600 or something like that, according to WrestleTix. I don't think that's the final number, but I think like they had reported that it was like somewhere around 5,200. Excuse me. Yeah. So, anyway, can't wait for that match. What else happened on this show? We're going to have to go to my cheat sheet, a.k.a. me searching AEW Dynamite results, because I know that, like, I don't want to talk about the main event just yet. I want to make sure that I cover everything before I talk about the Devil stuff. Oh, how could I forget? We had a segment here, people. Don Callis family run. So, Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and there are 4 stencils, 4 stands behind him, and each of which covered up by a black sheet. And then he introduces the horrible, despicable Don Callis and his family. Don Callis family, Powerhouse Will Hobbs, Don Callis, Konosuke Takeshita, and Kyle Fletcher come out, and, Don Callis says, it's boxing week here. It's not boxing week. That's just the thing Don Callis made up. It was Boxing Day in Canada yesterday. Boxing week, though, as far as I can see, is not a real thing. Anyway, Don Callis is Canadian. That's what they're getting at here. So Callis says that he has some gifts for his family. He says, things haven't been great. I've been away from my family for a while, but I want to change that. I want to gift you guys something special that you'll remember for a while. And Don Callis reveals these absolutely impeccable, just sublime. He revealed some pieces of art that will go down in history. Those should be hung up in the Louvre. Like that's what I think of the art that Don Callis revealed today. I'm just so great. I love this. So the first one is like a painting of Will Hobbs and Don Callis flexing, and Don Callis has like a 6-pack. Second one is a painting of Takeshita and Don Callis, with Takeshita having like a samurai sword and Don Callis like being all tatted up and like he's in the Yakuza. The third one is Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher boxing kangaroos because he's from Australia. And then there's a fourth one, but Don Callis says that he feels like now his family is complete. At which point we hear Sammy Guevara come out. Sammy, of course, has been out of action. He's been gone for a while. Has not been seen since he suffered a concussion. Then he was on paternity leave, of course. By the way, congrats to Sammy Guevara and Ty Mello on the birth of their new child. Anyway, so Sammy makes his return. Nice reaction. And he's kind of miffed because he says, Don, you know what happened when I was out with my concussion? I got a lot of calls from a lot of people that I didn't think I would get calls from, but I didn't get a call from you. At which point, Don Callis says, Sammy, it's not my fault that you were gone on maternity leave. He said maternity leave. It's not my fault you were gone on maternity leave for this long, and which infuriates Sammy. And then Don tries to bring the temperature down a bit, and he says, hey, Sammy, look, it's okay. You're here now, and I got you something special. And he reveals this painting, the fourth painting, and it's of everyone in the Don Callis family and Sammy Guevara, with Sammy holding his newborn baby. Very cute, very nice, not evil. Except to Sammy Guevara, who immediately goes, Don, that's really nice. Just one question, though. Who gave you permission to paint my baby like my baby? And he was so pissed. And Don just goes, whoa, Sammy. Hey, it wasn't anything like that. And, Sammy Guevara then insulted Don Callis. Says, I don't know if I want to be a part of this family anymore. And then Will Hobbs, Kyle Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita bring down the house, and they bring down Sammy Guevara, essentially kicking him out of the Don Callis family. As he's getting beat down, we're like, oh my God, who's going to come to Sammy's aid? Is anyone going to come to Sammy's aid? He's alienated a lot of his friends. But there's one person who has always been there with Sammy. There's one person who, no matter what, is a ride or die for Sammy Guevara. One person who, since the first episode of AEW Dynamite, has always had his back. And that person is Chris Jericho. Jericho comes down and he saves Sammy Guevara, Floyd the baseball bat in hand, and he's swinging that thing, and he's helping Sammy as much as he can. But then we have Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho beating down the heels, and they send the Don Callis family packing. Great. And right as Jericho and Guevara look eye to eye, they go to shake hands, and they hug, embracing for the first time since AEW Grand Slam with Sammy Guevara. Remember last time they embraced, Sammy Guevara pulled a Chris Jericho WrestleMania 19, and he kicked Chris Jericho right in the no-nos. But this time it was none of that. They hug. They're reunited. Sammy Guevara turning heel and face more than the Big Show. But it's okay because he's Sammy Guevara. This is his moment to shine. This is his time to fly. He's flying forever. Something dynamite. That's not the real lyrics of the song, but, basically. Anyway, so Guevara and Jericho embrace, at which point Big Bill and Ricky Starks, the AEW World Tag Team Champions, come out and beat up Jericho and beat up Sammy Guevara. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, so they're doing Guevara and Jericho versus the the AEW Tag Team Champions at the pay-per-view. Great. That's fun. That's awesome. But then, as Guevara and Jericho are getting beat down, lights go down, lights come back on, and it's Sting and Darby Allin standing in the ring, and they beat down the AEW World Tag Team Champions, send a pack in. Sting swinging a baseball bat. I should put this away before I hit my computer. Swinging a baseball bat, and instead of getting a tag team match or for the titles, we're getting an 8-man tag team match. It's going to be Guevara, Sting, Darby Allin, and Jericho versus the tag team champions Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Kyle Fletcher, and Will Hobbs. An interesting turn of events here. Of course, the tag team title match was in doubt ever since Kenny Omega suffered diverticulitis and is now out indefinitely. And it's one of those things where, you know who I feel the worst for? Obviously, okay, you know who I feel the second worst for? Because obviously you feel terrible for Kenny Omega for having to go through that. But at the same time, I feel kind of bad for Ricky Starks because it just feels like every time they do something new with him, every time he gets to do something, every single time, whether it's the Punk thing or this Omega injury, every time he's about to do something really good, it's just kind of like the rug is kind of swept from under him. And he's just faced with another situation where things change last minute. It's not a bad situation, it's not a horrendous situation, but it just felt like, man, they're finally doing this. But hey, I guess we'll see what happens. Anyway, what else happened on this show? Top Flight versus Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, and Trent was announced for Rampage. That's going to be a fun match. This is just about everything I have to say about that. We also got, is that everything? Oh, never mind. We still have one more thing to talk about for the main event. We also got a backstage segment. Swerve immediately following his loss in the Continental Classic. Backstage, angry promo from Swerve. And he's so angry that he was like, oh, Keith Lee, you were looking for me? What's up, bro? You want to do it? Let's do it. I've been waiting for this for a long time. He finally wants to settle the score. Tony Schiavone then hands him a contract saying, this is what Keith Lee wants. You at World's End, at which point Swerve is just like, let's do it. Nana, though, is like, hold on, what? I have not read this. We are not doing this. No. I need to approve. I have not approved this. This match is not happening. And Swerve's just like, make it happen. And Nana's like, okay, boss, you got it. And I love Nana. Prince Nana, one of my favorite managers, like, in wrestling. Like, arguably right now the best manager in wrestling because he's managing, not only because he's managing like one of the hottest like acts in wrestling right now, but also just because he is great. He is amazing. Chase in the chat says, thought we were going to get a triple threat for the tag team titles with Sting and Darby. Yeah, I thought they might be going in that direction too, but does not seem to be that. It's 8-man tag team match. It was announced on Dynamite. And now, finally, by God, finally, your main event of the evening. Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships on the line. MJF, Samoa Joe, filling in for Adam Cole, baby, defending against the Devil's Masked Men. So, of course, the Devil's Masked Men, no music, no pomp, no circumstance, make their way down to the ring. It's not visible who they are. They just come from the audience and they go in the ring and they're ready. MJF comes out to a big pop, reigning AEW champion, reigning defending Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion. And he's waiting for Samoa Joe to come out. Joe's music hits. Joe doesn't come out. And we're waiting, see what happens. And it looks like MJF's going to have to go it alone. We get a backstage shot, and it's Joe allegedly laid out, holding his leg, going, ah! Okay, so it looks like MJF's going to have to go it alone, and he does. Match starts. MJF immediately starts whooping ass, and his goal here is not even to win the match. His goal is to rip off the masks and find out who these goons are. And in the process of doing that on the outside, a third masked man comes out, and this is a big burly masked man, the same burly masked man that I think is Wardlow. Just personally, I think it's Wardlow. It looks like Wardlow, but Wardlow. So the maybe not Wardlow comes out masked from under the ring, hits MJF with a lead pipe, which allows the other masked men to pick up the victory. MJF and Adam Cole, baby, the brochachos for life. Not the Ring of Honor champions anymore. Ring of Honor tag team champions anymore. So they lose the match, and then the beatdown starts on Max. And Samoa Joe limps his way down to the ring to his partner / opponent on Sunday's Aid. But, was it a ruse this whole time? As the Devil appears on the screen, Samoa Joe steel chair in hand, standing behind MJF, seemingly to his defense. Devil appears on screen, gives a laugh, and then the words, "It was a pleasure doing business with you," appear on the screen. At which point, Samoa Joe lays a chair shot to the back of MJF, laying him out, revealing that while he is not the Devil, it looks like the entire time he was, in fact, in cahoots with the Devil, which to me really solidifies that it was Adam Cole. Because remember, who was the person who said that Max should take Joe up on his offer? It was Adam Cole, baby. I still stand by my statement. I think we should find out who the Devil is on Saturday, excuse me. If we don't, I think this is going to drag out, and I'm like, it's going to be fine, but for me, but I don't know how it's going to be for a lot of people who are watching. But I think, like, the more you drag this out, like, the more it's just going to get murky. But I feel like since they didn't, like, reveal anyone tonight, like, we're going to get reveals slowly over the next few weeks. Because eventually you have to reveal who the new Ring of Honor tag team champions are. You can't just have masked goons running around, right? But we'll see. We will see. Anyway, so Max versus Samoa Joe has some more stakes going into Saturday. Excuse me, I keep saying Sunday. It's like one of the first AEW shows that's actually on a Saturday and not a Sunday, so confused a little bit. Anyway, that's been the show, guys. We got Chris in the chat rounding us out saying Sky Blue helps Julia retain her TBS championship against Abaddon this Saturday at World's End and officially joins House of Black. That would be fun to see. Well, you know what else has been fun to see? All of you guys in the chat, all of you guys joining the show. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't already done so, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you haven't already, go check out my latest video essay about MJF losing the AEW World title. It's in the archives, youtube.com/Real Take Wrestling. Go check that out. It's a really fun piece that I did, really interactive. I want to do more kind of video essay topics like that, fantasy bookings, things like that. I think you guys really have been enjoying those as of late, and I want to do more. So go check that out. Let me know what you think. And as always, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, this has been AEW Dynamite, December 27th, 2023. I'm Ricky for Real Take Wrestling. Be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.